Welcome to a presentation on ACE tools, also known as Achieving Club Excellence. I'm going to talk about some wonderful tools when used individually can help you fix certain problems in your club, or when used in unison can help develop a long-term strategic plan. So we're going to get kicked off with this, talking about the tools that can help you determine where your club actually is in its current status. If you look at a map, oftentimes you'll see in an unknown area or a shopping mall, there's a map that says you are here. Now, sometimes we're not sure the map is correct. I admit I have been known to argue with a map. And so we're going to talk about how to really assess and make sure you know exactly where you are in terms of what your club members think of you and what your community thinks of you or wants from you. So the first two tools we're going to talk about is rediscovering your community and measuring your member satisfaction. You need to make sure these things are a habit so that every year you're not only gathering this information from your community and your members, but then you're able to compare as to how your club is doing year after year. Your club assessment. We have put together a tool which has some simple questions, but you may want to make it special for your club, asking certain particular questions. So certainly grab this, use this to get it started, or you can create your own. You can do it online, paper survey, group activity. The important thing is that you get it done. You solicit member feedback from all of your members, not just the active ones or the ones who come up to your club meeting. So there are a lot of different ways you can do it. Just make sure you are capturing the opinion of all of your members. Rediscovering your community. That's about reaching out to your community leaders. Now, it's great because it shows your community you're there, you care about them, and you want their input and cooperation with your club. So listen to your community, whether it's individual conversations. You can do networking events, both online and in person. If nothing else, 2020 has taught us that we can accomplish a lot by doing things online. So look at different ways. Town hall meetings can even be done online. And remember to educate educators, or invite educators, children, community leaders, parents, potential members, a lot of different people, because we need everyone's perspective to really understand the best place for our club to be in our local communities. Now, once you get all that information, you will have a good understanding of where your club is. And definitely need to share this information with the board, but I would tell you it's important to share it with your entire membership. In fact, maybe one newsletter a year is dedicated to sharing the information you have so that your club members really understand what each other is thinking and feeling and what the community thinks and feels about your club. So now we want to envision our future. In other words, why do we exist? Kiwanis International has the motto of serving the children of the world. However, your club may want to carve out a niche within that particular dream. So some ideas of what your club has would be, for their dream is something you can measure, that you can actually see accomplished, that you can celebrate when it's accomplished. So here are some goals. I would tell you, don't create a purpose, envision your future, and make it easy to achieve. It needs to be reachable. You've got to stretch to get it. It can't be easily reached, but something that allows you to stretch and to move forward. Now, after you figure out what that dream is, you need to know what your responsibilities as members to achieve that dream. Here's a list of 10 popular items that club members come up with. I would tell you it's better if you only have 5, maybe 7 of these, and share this with potential new members. This is what you expect of people who belong to your club, and hold your members up to that ideal. Then how does the club support the members? That's going to be a question of a new member. You want me to do these things. What is the club going to be doing for me? How are they going to help support? And so you as a collective need to provide these. So for example, if you expect a member to take a leadership role, you need to have something along the lines where the club is supporting that leadership, educating people on how to be leaders. So they all need to work together to make a strong club. And then you can look at that dream and you can reach it. Now we've got the dream. Woohoo! And we know where we are, right? Because we're here. There's the dream. What's next to figure out? What's the gap? What is between you and your dream? Those two tools we use are analyzing your impact and developing community partnerships. Because if we combine that information together, we are really utilizing what we found and figuring out our steps we can make. So analyzing your impact. Are you using your resources well? Kiwanis is a volunteer organization. So every hour, all the time, the talent and the treasure that our members invest in our club and what our community invests in our club needs to provide impact. So this is a chance for you to determine what it is. So one of my favorite exercises is the high-low impact. So you put up 4 quadrants, big sheet of paper on the wall, board meeting, a club meeting. Obviously, if you have 100 members in your club, you're not going to do this in a club meeting. You're going to do this at a board meeting or a committee meeting, but this is a very useful tool to use. Impact. Impact happens to be, what impact do you have in your community? Is it long-term, short-term? How many lives are you impacting? Are you giving people happy memories as a child, or are you making them safer as a child, or are you totally changing the trajectory of children? What's the cost? The cost is not just money. It's the resources your members put in, the time, their talent. Does it rejuvenate people? Let's face it, we all have seen service projects where you pass around the sign-up sheet, it goes around and no one signs up. That is just draining your club of a project their hearts aren't really into, and it's really time to set it aside. So take all of your service projects, those you're currently doing, those you found out you could do, use a Post-it note and put them in each of these areas. Now, I know what you're thinking. Where's the middle? You know, maybe it's not high impact, but it's not low impact. It's medium impact. Guess what? You have got to decide for yourself. And there's no chart. There's no one who's going to tell you what's higher and what's low. You have to trust your own instincts. There's going to be some arguments, but put everything in a quadrant. And from there, we need to work. So we're going to start off with the green quadrant, the low impact, high cost. That's a no-no. Your Kiwanis Club does not have enough resources to be doing a lot of high cost, low impact projects. Now I know what some of you are going to say. Wait, that's our Christmas parade. All right. If for some reason that is your Christmas parade, your questions should be, A, how can we reduce the costs? How can it cost our members less time, less energy, less money? That would include sponsorships, partnerships, people sharing the project. Now, how can you increase the impact? Well, maybe right now the Christmas parade is everyone gets out and it's a feel-good thing. Well, perhaps we can tie it to collecting food for the homeless or getting clothes for shelter, or how can we increase the impact? And by doing that, you may be able to move it to a more productive quadrant. But if anything falls in that and you can't move it out of that quadrant, it's time for your club to say bye-bye. The next one is your signature project quadrant, and that's a high impact, high cost. The reason it's high cost is all of your members, or vast majority of your members, should be involved in that project. You should be out there putting your time and talent and passion. Should have a big impact on your community. Your community should know you're there. They should understand. It should really be tied to your purpose, and that would be your signature project. Now, my favorite, of course, is the red quadrant, which is the sweet spot. The sweet spot are those projects give you high impact and very low costs. A perfect example is our Bringing Up Grades program. That is a program where all we have to do is buy certificates for the kids. Perhaps we're throwing a party and we're encouraging them to improve their grades, maybe creating a mentoring system. But we're rewarding students for bringing those C grades or D or F up. Because if you look in the world, the most successful people aren't necessarily those straight A students. They're the ones that worked hard, and that's what we want to teach kids. working hard. So this is a great one that you can really change the trajectory of a child's life. Low impact, low cost, that's oftentimes when one club member goes off and does a project. They may be great projects, but because your club only has 1 or 2 people doing it, it's not a high impact for your club. It does tend to drain your attention to the other items. So just be careful that doesn't get in the way, because you really want to stay with that sweet spot where it's high impact and low costs. Fundraisers, we need to look at our fundraisers. In fact, right now, a lot of our clubs have had to cancel fundraisers because they were in person and they couldn't meet in person. So ask your question of, do you have enough money from your fundraisers to support your goal, your vision? Are there other ways of getting money? There are a lot of grants out there. We have the Kiwanis Children's Fund. There are a lot of districts with grants. There are communities with grants. So look at ways of getting money. And I'm going to tell you this, and every time I mention this, somebody comes up to me and says, you're talking about my club. If your fundraiser no longer makes money or loses money, it is no longer a fundraiser. A lot of clubs in the past have started golf tournaments because it was a really great way to do fundraisers, and then everybody got in the golf tournament bandwagon, and suddenly the returns have begun to diminish, but people don't want to give it up because, that's what they like to do, and they get to go out there. That's great. That's a social event. Becomes a social event. No longer call it a fundraiser if it doesn't raise money, or if it raises like so little that it really doesn't offset the amount of hours that you put into it. So be strategic about this. We have an obligation to our community to work hard to raise money that really gives back to the community. Now, our biggest obstacle is not what the data tells us, it's our members' attitudes. Our members are human, and humans don't like change. We like to be comfortable. But 2020 is a year of change, whether we like it or not. So this is a fantastic time to continue to change, because our members are currently uncomfortable. Things have changed. We haven't been meeting in person. In many cases, the places we meet may end up not being around anymore because they just couldn't survive it, or they were buffets and they're not sure how to cope. There's all sorts of reasons. Your meeting place may be gone, your fundraisers, your service projects may be changing. So this is really a great time to move forward. And another tool or exercise that really does help your club and your club move forward is a stop, start, keep doing. So stick on, whether you do this a committee, a club, have everyone 3 Post-it notes and have a sign up that says stop. So here are all sorts of things somebody in your club thinks you should stop doing. It's really simple. Everyone gets to choose just one and look for patterns. A pattern is donating too much to many different causes, is really the same thing as giving small donations to many. Group those together and you will start to find trends that way. Also need to look at trends in terms of, look at the start doing. What are some things that you want your club to start doing that you think would be important or would help move your club forward? So each member gets to put one thing. I know some people like to cheat, but one, and look for common themes. On the stop menu, we had including meal costs and dues. On the start menu, we have looking to lower dues. A lot of our clubs lump dues, costs, and meals together. Make sure your club members know they're separate, and a lot of clubs really have moved towards having those as separate costs. So if someone pays meals as they come, I know some places charge X number for meals, no matter what. Look for ways to offset costs, because there are a lot of people who are going to be struggling in the economy that have done a lot for our club and really are engaged in service and may just need a little extra help. And then there are a list of things that are keep, and these are things that are really going to show you as an obstacle. So if you have something in here that your members, some of your members really want to stop and others think it's important as the one thing you keep, that's where your potential obstacles. Don't expect to change everything at first. Look where the obstacles are. Get some wins under your wings for you as a club so that you can move forward and then tackle the harder things as time goes on. After everyone sees what success can be made when you make some changes. If Want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So we need to develop as many relationships as possible within our community. So great exercise again. For some people, this would be really too big of an exercise, but list some companies in your community. Reach out to them, find out what their mission statements, find out what they focus on, what kinds of things they are interested in. Because organizations, clubs, and governmental agencies all seem to have a focus now, and find out if any of them merge with your club. In a relationship, there are places you go that you rent facilities from, you purchase supplies from. Those are places you have relationships, and of course, our partners. The people who have maybe somebody in your club, you have someone on their board, you do projects together. The idea is to take as many people who are in the community with you, who have the same focus, and move them into tighter relationships and eventually partnerships. And then you can get more things done because you're working as a group and you're working together. And then, of course, we always have to identify our challenges that are ahead. And 2020 is a year full of external challenges. And so certainly embrace them, understand they're there, and figure out how to get around, through, or over the obstacle so you can achieve your club's goals and dreams. And you can be there for the kids in your community. So how do we get there? We are here, and we need a step-by-step plan to get us to our dream. The Planning Your Club Excellent program tool is great. There's only recommend 3 goals per year to keep everybody focused. And each committee should have their own goal. All of our goals need to be SMART. I'm not going to go into detail about what SMART is. I know you're all smart enough to know what a SMART goal is. And we need to springboard that plan into action. And we have 3 tools to help in that area, because we need actions, not just words. We can put together the best plans in the world, and if they just sit there and collect us, they're not getting us anywhere. So first off is the club scorecard. That is a wonderful tool to use to find out if you're actually moving forward. So you should be checking on that every month and every quarter, and be careful not to be tracking our outputs, but our outcomes. So example, it's not tracking how many membership drives did we have, it's how many new members did we get to join our club. So make sure we're tracking and we're counting those things that ultimately move the bottom line and not just make us look busy. Our hosting an open house is a step-by-step guide on how to do an open house, and it brings in more people. So certainly, if you do all the tools up to this, you are really going to be prepared to invite new people, and don't necessarily wait until you meet in person. You can invite a lot of people to your club meetings if you do it online, and we've had a lot of success with people inviting new members and getting them to join through online meetings. And last but certainly not least is celebrating our successes. Nobody in our Kiwanis Club, or very few, get paid to volunteer. There are a few paid club secretaries out there. So we need to celebrate successes. It motivates people to move forward, and it creates a bond together. Everybody likes to enjoy a good success story. So certainly look at different ways. Do it annually. Hopefully there's some sort of project where you're getting to annually recognize people who've done great things in your club, but don't wait till annually. If something great happened in October, don't wait until the next October. Recognize, reward it. Recognize that person who shows up for every club meeting and gets everything set up ahead of time and nobody seems to notice. Thank that person who spends a lot of their time away from their family to help with Kiwanis. Thank their family for supporting them with Kiwanis. Find ways to celebrate as an entire community, because again, celebration will bring us together and make us stronger. So in wrapping this up, we're going to start off knowing where you are, determining where your dream is, figuring out the space between that. How do you get from point A to point B, and then how to create those words into actions. You need to monitor it monthly, evaluate it yearly, and deep dive every 5 years, because it really is part of strategic planning, and you will go in depth every 5 years. Otherwise, you will evaluate it lightly. So the Achieving Club Excellence process Make it a habit and utilize the tools which are available on the Kiwanis.org website under our membership resources.